Choda Timo Wedu Zedo Manden Save Lama Rimbo Daso Ningaran Bemin Densho La Kade Chimbe Chanjo Nimbe Ba Dembara Injo Masan Jeme Shira Pare Maje Maka Namge Ngogo Soso Rari Yije Shuyu Tuson Jeve Yo Chanze Lo Deya Tha Gade Gade Para Samgade Bodhe So Deya Tha Gade Gade Para Samgade Bodhe So Deya Tha Gade Gade Para Sam Bodhe So Gere Tongda Janju Shewa Dan Mide Temban Rajen Bezon Zojo Ne Dashi Deja Jo Sa Jimbe Jo Dagi Chujurun Jebe Sonam Je Rola Beje Sanje Robara Sho Sanje Shoda Soje Shonam La Janjo Bado Dane Jasaje Dagi Chujurun Jebe Sonam Je Rola Beje Sanje Robara Sho Sanje Shoda Soje Yo was a dane Jasaje Dagi Shi So Rola Beje Sanje Robara Sho Simje Tamji to the Toja Yangda was always a commercial Virginia Thomas, a teacher, the Tabe Sanyami. Kunu Churches is Jameson said and December years.
Let me remind every one of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it bodhicitta motivation or the altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of at least contrived bodhicitta altruistic motivation, that we should all participate in this Bodhisattva's discourse on the perfection of concentration or samadhi.
That the Shunzum to that lion did labor, Sakaje never just a shit of the any wrong Nianse, the teacher Suju, Shibasu, or Tibetan, that yet the Gabriel Shetan, that didn't do the embassy, that didn't my assurance.
We talked quite a bit about the need to recognize and manage or deal with attachment to the dear and near ones, the loved ones. And we also talked about the need to recognize and deal with attachment to what we call the material possessions and etc. And so we will continue our discussion relating to the topic.
La di de ba ne de de shiva da da shiva hin la pen zi de de jun zhuo ba ti ne ji ji la me ge wa de be be jian xin ne di xin pa ji ba da ma la ne ni xin de pen de zhuo so ji be rang xin ye ga bong GSTDL shiva ge jo da da pe pe thong chi ma shi me shi pa da ge ja de da lo pe pe thong chi ma shi shiva men ju ye shiva cho bo me ba da ro be ye ba bon de be lang de la me ge be mon ba na le ta ring du chue Sure, she did about the legion ring the drop shape again. A puppy chilla, just all love it on the Roshi Emperor. So the person they got the peckerle. Chokachi, some shashi, the middle song sha. Jivatani, Jivata, Geshe the Bosha, she said, Kunjo de Jan Sedja be Khaza, Nambara Bambi. The beautiful use of whatever show it is, Tawa Nyabata, Shoka Nyabata, so Nyabi. Khaza Baba, the God, the little jet, call the God. Shows you the Japji show be Khaza, Chimbado. I came by the number of Pambe, the Petro, Yoso, Power, River Shadi, Ricky Better, Yoso Boy, Casa, the message about Michel, Michel Condo, Senda, even some Michel, she saw Jab, she so loved you so, Chamba Taros. That you你们介绍清楚的，你其实是的，你到这里的，你上过这些，他的你把这的了，你所有他们这帮人把这种中西方的你，但你们这清楚，那是不是上到这样的吧？我听他也不写啥呢，那你们都晓得嘛的些多的，他只说是。他的empathy这个我就是说在底下呀，把养生呀等等，确实的是吧？这确实呢，这个有啊来呀，确实是吧？根本就是说啥，录下要是那天啥现在这一直的确实啊的，这个有个人写的，这是你empathy的这个就是这这小的，这些呢，你empathy我等的那样。这个欧洲因为说句那样，就你见到我那车子那样，老那大没说有了，我这些的，你搞了讲的欧洲人说呢，那样的见有啥帮助呢？看这大多数大些那样，小个谁多，我就说。
So as Geshe read and explained. That we talked about some of the main sources of our experience of afflictive emotions, particularly attachment. The dear and near ones are the source of our attachment, isn't it? We do get attached to them, and therefore it's important for us to recognize that attachment, and we have to deal with it. Another source of afflictive emotions is enemies, or those we call enemies, And so we don't like them. As a matter of fact, we might hate them. So that is, again, something we have to recognize and deal with. And then also another source of afflicting emotions is the behavior of childish sentient beings. And we talked about how we need to protect ourselves from the negative influence of what we call, for lack of a better term in English, negative friends. In Tibetan, it's called big dog. Okay, so negative friends, as we defined before, is being with each other or someone that if our way of thinking and behaving are turning more into negative, so then we are being a negative friend of each other, and that's also the source of afflictive emotions. So in order to be able to protect our mind, one of the things that being discussed is, it's good to go into solitude, right? That's one way. We, in our heart, we should never stop caring for sentient beings or people, right? Because we can. But we can socially distance from them, being in a solitude, so that we don't get negatively influenced by them or by each other, for that matter. Okay, and so that means the Tibetan word is chul, means to avoid, right? The interactions with childish sentient beings, so that we don't influence each other negatively, to protect each other's mind and behavior. So once we are in a solitude, like now we feel like, okay, I have been able to, how should I say, tame my mind to some extent, or train my mind to a certain extent. Now we feel like I want to test myself, right? If I made any progress or not, then, once in a while, maybe it's good to go into the crowd or in a situation where we do find people. Right? Then we can see, have we made any progress or change, and are we able to, protect ourselves from being negatively influenced by them. So that's a good way to test our own practice level and the progress. That's what Geshe explained.
What is it that cars are Shiva is a donor? And Shiva is all the Shiva do the Dusha Mari. She don't you go in Greece, Parlabja and Nigmara. She has a do it car till Dorjee go away with Judicial. She was so to touch Joe and him to Dorjee, she don't carry and you never see any Maris. Could Jiva Dusha. And Parlabja, so love Jatoba, Kitty Javin, called the Nigmari. She's a Pasha and a Petra Maris. And Pasha, Pemazo gone truly, could don't get you Congress. Or this other, don't call Lyra, Takasa, Lamsa Kuris. And you did the Koyamers going to learn in the Yara.
No.
Karsa Kinina, look to Suna, in the Rimboshada, the Jamaris, Semata, Kinga. Jai was as well. Don't call away. Look, this had the Chegrava. Look, this is the Pazat, but it is.
I don't know. So as Geshe explained, why we need to sort of distance ourselves physically, if you will, from childish, sentient beings. Not that we should stop caring about them. That's not the point. We do care about them, but why do we have to socially distance ourselves from each other, for that matter, is because there are many reasons. Number one, right, as childish sentient beings, we don't seem to listen really well, isn't it? Let's say we advise them to behave properly, they will show their attitude, right? And Geshe didn't say we might show them our attitude. So that's the issue, right? Somebody good to give advice, keep the advice to yourself. Okay? I don't need it. So there is that. Then the other issue is that we could easily be influenced by each other's negative behaviors. Negativity is very contagious. It easily catches on us. The positive things are very difficult to be contagious, isn't it? Like, we easily learn the bad things from each other, but it takes a lot of time to learn the good stuff from each other, right? We have that experience, And so that's why we need to socially distance from childish sentient beings. And as Geshe said in the Lamrim teaching, in the teaching on stages of path enlightenment, one of the, of course, Tibetan example given is that there's a Tibetan dress made out of woolen, right, material, and if you throw that into any sort of a dust or something, it will only catch dust, and dirt is not going to catch anything good. So like that, if we throw ourselves, so to speak, with the childish sentient beings, we are likely to catch the negativities from them. Okay? So for those reasons, we don't stop caring for them, but physically it's better to be isolated from each other so that we don't negatively influence each other. So as Geshe explained, the point is not that we said, don't talk to ordinary sentient beings. Right? What we are saying is, do not become, so to speak, each other's buddies, right? And then we could get negative influence by each other, right? We don't say don't talk to them. Of course, we have to relate to each other, but we don't become a very trusted, like a buddy, and that's is what we shouldn't be doing. And we already talked about the reasons, right? Those reasons are very understandable, isn't it? As childish sentient beings, we don't like to listen to each other. Keep your advice to yourself, I can think for myself, right? So then nobody's listening, right? And then we can easily catch each other's negative way of thinking and behavior because that's very catchy, contagious. The good things, it takes a lot of time to catch on to each other, right? So those are the reasons why we need to stay physically away from each other. So the Tibetans have a saying that if you stay too close to a ferocious dog, what are you going to get? Bite. The dog is ready to attack and bite you. So we don't want, right, to be, that means, we need to protect ourselves. And that metaphorically speaking, we need to protect ourselves from each other's negative influence.
Number bangbe, the digwachabo yons bang, so bang river show. Take the tower nyavada, choka nyavada, soa nyabe, causa number bangbata. Junzil gawata, Lulajan, the koala gawata. You show similar gabi showways, causa the chimbada, Dema number bangbe. Digbe trouble you so bang river shadi, Rigi Buddha, you so bang. Kansa Tidala, don't send you Kansa Tidala, don't send you a mission. Your past is a be condition baby, drove with the day of a top here going to Kanse. Called because some of the Podu may go in the Bangor with this girl. I am quite. Condition called Yamdo Yomo says, Geshe Phuntsok says, could make a jam Yomaro, or this is top keeper going in Banguris. Or the Ninja Pega down, then it takes the one. Gunjo or Zilga Song Shas. Or said the Bangu Banadia, the top keeper going to Banguris. 대가서 깨져 마시고 추워 저 소리지 들으시 요 말이지. 답게 거네 방구리지 월다.
So in the extensive commentary that Geshe has read, there are a number of sources cited. One is the Saddhamma Pundarika Sutra, White Compassion Lotus Sutra, and the other one is the Ratnakutra Sutra or the Heap of Jewels Sutra, Kunjogdin. And so as Geshe explained, in these sutras, it is spelled out, so to speak, how we need to socially distance ourselves from the negative influence of childish sentient beings. Some of the examples is that people who are behaving immorally, right? Immoral behaviors. So we need to stay away socially from them because we might catch on the immoral behaviors. The other one is the people who hold distorted, perverted views, right? And if we too close to them, become buddy, then we might catch on the distorted and perverted views, right? And the other one is that if they love hustle and bustle, they love samsara, right? Samsara is so great, right? So then they become buddy, we might start to love samsara like anything, So we need to, as we said, stay away doesn't mean, the Tibetan word translation is abandon, that can be socially distant, but it doesn't mean in our heart we should distance or give them away, right? That's not the point, Of course, when we meet them, we say hello out of courtesy, nice, everything, but socially distance from them because we do not want to become, be influenced by their behavior. So here, staying away has a sense of being skillful, right? Very nice, so that we don't hurt their feelings, but at the same time, we keep at very safe distance kind of thing. That's the meaning of, abandonment or staying away, not giving up in our mind about their well-being. So as Geshe explained, that some examples given in the Saddhamma Pundarika Sutra and the Ratnakutra Sutra, as I mentioned earlier, is that we need to stay away from, the Tibetan word pangpa can be literally translated abandonment, abandon them in a sense, stay away from those who have immoral behaviors, isn't it, who break ethics, who are being very unethical, because then we could become unethical, right? we need to stay away from those who hold perverted, distorted views, the wrong views, because otherwise we might get influenced by the wrong views or the distorted views. We need to stay away from those who how should I say cast aspiration onto nirvana enlightenment. Like, give me a break. Like, what is nirvana? Baloney. Kishla didn't say that anyway, right? So we have to stay away from that because we do not want to become balonies, with them. So that's what is meant by staying away. Of course, in our heart, we have to care about them, right? We cannot give them away. So staying away them in the sense that we are not staying away them out of hatred or anger, isn't it? Right? Or out of belittling them. You are so, I'm here, kind of thing, right? Not out of hatred and sense of, belittling others, but to protect ourselves from their negative influence. This is what is said in the Shiksha Samuksha, or the compendium of Bodhisattva trainings or Labdhi.
Shiva Tarin Chua Shia Kamba Jigba Des, Jeva Gashi Des, Mal Jene, Shed Tuna, Tedos, Kangar, the Chena Megawada, Geshe Pony, Kedepen, Emperor Never, Soje, Kapdavus, Jadarenga, Lover de Shiva, Chiva the Cheva Chivana, Tini. Mega Sing Madeva Joyce, Juzubanes, Reji, Never Masos, Never Kogashi, George Joyce, Jube, Yugo Shidis. Then it's Yuzo Shabada, Zashi Yizubada, Yungur Wundureves, Samba Sojes, Gona Hajang Rindu, Joves. Ring the Jobe, Dishabo, Minjoa, Shashin. There are nearly so near, Shashi Shembadam, and there's one near, Tangian, Quadabu, nearing Igata, Goni. Goni Tame Pade, Pamata numbers, some less, some. Mam Suta was goddess, Jiba the Droba, Kanya Meba, Shudi Jivis, Libera, never Shala, taken Tamebara, Parmesuji, Sunium Tabu shed the Tong the Tonges also, so you say, Pena Puan, Jame Medo, Kado, the Chisel, Chisel the Shani, the Rings never done. Never Sabaso, Kaya Meva. Never. Joneses of Longness, Joa Shed, Shadows of Yes, and then Sabahi Mevas, should you be, they rug you saw him never done. Should you be you told them, you told them. She was a son so long in Sheva Yan, Tebas shed, Joe Mambo non the door Naya, Liver Sheva Shuji, Nanja Mambo, Nanes, and Yasa Lange, Toji Nimbos of Lang Nishi, Jala, Kanda to the Navy, Jugulas, Moshi Pedu Droba, Ruji Sheva. No Madonji, Madeva said the ring river majors, Sulayang, Rome was in, never chose, Dor Cheddar, Pum Medoki, Kado Tell Maneuver, quite shapeness, poor the teacher, to be told you, he was Daros. But there, because the top part, the couldn't know the middle, because took so. Because Dharma is a dancer and the dance meadow, dancer layer was a Chenda meadow, but Podu Kakai don't go Mars, could go out dance land and doors. So didn't I? You could do is not. This is John Mago says, Ransa Kora Shani or the Tembosin Diagores. Or the Tembosin Madena Tilly and Rogito Shaboshi said, in the John going good is. I said that the Chidon became merely shipped out of the Miguel Rodato career, she said, and called Shaba Maiba, called the Dama Maiba. Daniel Kora in the Oshagores, Kaza Kande to the Hotel Lodge Angores.
So at the bottom of page 103, stanza 15 reads, I should flee far away from childish people. When they are encountered, though, I should please them by being happy. I should behave well merely out of courtesy, but not become greatly familiar. On top of page 104, stanza 16 reads, in the same way as a bee takes honey from a flower, I should take merely what is necessary for the practice of Dharma, but remain unfamiliar as though I had never seen them before, unquote. Okay, so those are the two stanzas that we are dealing with. So as Geshe explained here, right? This actually is sort of telling us how can we relate to each other, right? Of course, in our heart, we care about others, sentient beings. We can never stop doing that. But physically, we stay away from those childish sentient beings who could negatively impact our mind and behaviors, isn't it? And as Geshe explained, that we do not want to relate to each other in the sense of we get attached to each other, isn't it? That's not a proper relationship. We do not want to relate to each other in the sense of like, I don't like you, I hate you, okay? Hatred. That's not a proper relationship, And so because these are the afflictive emotions impacting our relationships, so we want to stay away in the sense from each other so that we don't get negatively influenced by each other. We have to be pleasant to each other. Nice, isn't it? We need to talk to each other. We have to deal with each other. But we do not want to necessarily become, as I said, with childish behaviors, a buddy-buddy, right? If we become too much buddy-buddy, right, then we could catch each other's negative mindset and behaviors. That's what we need to protect from each other because that's not helpful to either side. That is the bottom line point here. So how should we behave? The example given here in the text is how bees are very skillful in extracting, right, the honey, the essence of the flower. They don't damage the flower. They take what is needed. They leave the flowers alone. They keep the relationship intact, so to speak, with me. So like that, when we have to deal with each other, right, we kind of take from each other in a sense what is necessary, right? That helps us to support our practice. But all other things are irrelevant, so to speak. We just kind of let them be. So don't get too much involved, like with each other in the sense of buddy-buddy. Does that make sense? Yeah. So what we take, I think in the context of like going for an alms begging, that's what my text has said, that of course you have to relate to others who are providing you alms. So you appreciate them, but don't get attached to them because they're giving you alms, Don't form that relationship. Take what is necessary, alms for your practice, then stay away, So like that, so take what is necessary for our practice, but don't get too much involved emotionally and like, out of hatred or attachment. Yeah.
Jiva Shemba Pang Shagula. They are Cheva Jiva Sheva, Java Shinjung Yu Mumela Shena, Dungi Jeves, Ranshin, Tamjin Yodu, Jevala Samnes, and the Simjung sim jung go she was there. The shadow jazz been near Chaga, the Dal Dangway Museum, Carson, quite the chokes, driver, Carson said the she didn't so do. I said, Qualia, demo better way in Rogo Mesa, Gagabe, near the Chaga, this chokes the race. Dal Dangway, I mean, the tower he died, she did marry. That chose the terrorists, he says, Shazan you Chagbe Judea, Judean Goyun and Shazan Gogoris. The Goyun, Danini, never never said some of them, and Shazan the Goyun Shito or Danina, this is what.
So as Geshe explained that, we do not want to get attached to each other, especially the dear and near ones. We do not want to dislike or hate those we call enemies. So how can we now deal with our afflicted emotions of attachment and hatred to others is if we can find reasons to equalize them on the same footing, then we may be able to relate to them each other more or less in the same way, isn't it? And as we talked about this already before, that our relationships with each other in samsara are not permanent, right? They do change, isn't it? Friends become enemies, enemies become friends, And so our relationships to be very transient. It's there for a while. Yes, we, if we are close to each other, this is for a while. At the most, it's one lifetime. When we die, that relationship dissolves, isn't it? Okay. And if we don't like each other, that could be temporary because once the enemies become friends, well, now we don't hate each other, isn't it? Or at least for one life. So, but once we die, that relationship falls apart. And so when we equalize the reason why, right, attachment and hatred are not permanent, entities. They are just temporary as well. Our relationships are in flux. So therefore, there's no really a good ground or point why we get attached to each other or why we hate each other. Because as we said, friends become enemies, enemies become friends, so therefore nothing is certain there. Uncertainty of relationships, thinking about that helps us to be able to temporarily cease attachment to each other or cease the hatred towards each other.
What is because some days, Trevor draw, Shane Jung, Jung, Mummy, Shane, Duguzi, Rosetta, you do each other, some Sim Jung over here was. What teacher said, did this or that. But near Chaga, the social paint of the solo so. And the dog is dog where the so no some tongue ready. She not got Daniel in the year. Near the tower is paint out the Maris, dry tower new Mari. She not going to paint over Jibba, never she was Jibba Major. Queen is a cavern to bear, when the Saladona, she was a water. This is a dark and the Shadow Jail, you been do. And because they call, go bear. His paid Yago, then the Yomaris, Lamson Dead, and the Cote Debotan Yomaris. So that he never used them on Bosani and Shadanja, Gauris, this is it.
So if we explore different reasons, right, such as the ones we just talked about, uncertain relationships, then we could prevent attachment and hatred arising in our mind. And as Geshe explained, that the reason why we usually say, that I love the dear and near ones is because we see them as somebody who care about us and who benefit us. Right? That's the reason why we attach to them, isn't it? Why we don't like the enemies? Because they don't care about us, and they hate us, and then they harm us. Right? That's our reason. Okay. But then, as we said, friends and enemies, these relationships are not permanent. They shift and change, isn't it? All right? When our friends become enemies, they don't care for us. Now they want to harm us. They have become enemies, isn't it? When our enemies become friends, now they care us. They benefit us. So in our changing relationships, we have benefited each other. We have harmed each other, right? So we are equal, isn't it? So on that equal footing ground, there is no reason why we attach to, some, and why we hate others, because, our relationships change, and so do all of these experiences. And so thinking about this kind of reasoning and exploring many other reasons, we are able to prevent attachment and anger from arising within us.
that's so much years la siwa bonga za kisi saji da thamdiro no senjen la shadon bonga da chi ngo bonga ni da senjen shadon bonga de la ani da yin de she parma she oti gangan do sarwa ta no ka chi ngo bol shaba da de ni ngo ni da no lung jo de khonji sai di de du gu ke ra do khare de de ve andon do khare o di ga la ini jigde karsa niso jigde nieva kortesya derwa ponganesa ode siza da shadaja jurmi fya tambu no semse shavada chi ngobo shavada da semse shavada drosa geje shene da chi ngobo shavada ti tawani da niema so des da niema to gaji misada juju ko siji zarwa dia nyengu nieva da dela nyengu mi tabala se jagba da ngaje cheve se nieva de dal ne jida mambu bu che de sunim tevaso yoji nieva mambu da dela yime mambu che jing se kuda de jeva ta da ju mambu ta gashin kuba de jeva bu she se Tende tende nyemba de nyengurje simkingbe se ngaje dang nyengul shagbe so ronya jagba chigba da bu semla shama juna tedagi nyebe rang shibe o chime tu da dis nyaso yinjo lone yuren la se suakaye se donge naso je se jigba mese bachawa jote shede nyingu so se loma ne nyewa chewe juimbe se shambe singe daye shembu temale sumbu shen tete nyingu so je loma ne nyewa chewe juimbe shamba singe daye singe dashi wo tamale sungbe sher tiye mandu tebe jashin te mandu tobe pa mewa chobata nyeba da kodeda tseksu jebe se jashi ti nyeba da kodeda tseksu jebe seji nombe pa mewa chobata zashi chendo lomo tebe chemji se jashi ti zashi ji chendo lomo tebe Kenji Bagwe Pawe Jawata Jangwa Yonde da Yoji Nyue Jashin Yoji Nyue Jashin Ti Jangwa Yonde da Yoji Nyue Jabe Dala Deba Sheba Dal Deba Sheba Shela Moa Sheba Ti Pawe Sheshade usu shibadani radishoe jashin pamya indi radishoe jashin pamya bateda dena sinjenyo joye bers jeva show he sonas tiza da pero tiza da nyengul sa karas da nyengul jo ya ko shunna entanga shiva nyengul shiva yo pinge jo tega mo yesam yoshiro mo nga us nga jeji chewaris yate Because Shanda is so Jindar, Shanda is not Tato Jeris. She said, dear, Yango said the Shata Jati Judo, she said, the Yango Jen Chaton telling Naji, Javache, take it and Shimang in so many dry Maris, or she said, this is the Yango Shadow Maris. The Yango Shadow never did that in the Karza. Said Delaco Yango to US or toss in that quite. Tempo kaya marwa ningu sa diko mi chugo zo lamsa bongo de chugo de ori ko sa ningu sa ko ta des kaya marwa she al nekap je des 对吧？这个原来，然后但是呀，他可以分都是要写你啊，这个当个我从同学了，而且老师就这一些，不是可年长些么？当晚可年长些那个可年故事被新给忙不也？当晚是可年故事要么是的，搞不搞可那欧洲的，搞不搞家的可全部都是要写。你这忙不这在的可能我说你们的开们都是要说是，我这是忙不了了，我这说娘住这是。
On page 104, stanza 17 reads, I have much material wealth as well as honor, and many people like me. Nurturing self-importance in this way, I shall make terrified after death, unquote. So that's the stanza Geshe explained. And so remember that, we talked about two main sources of attachment and attachment. One is dear and near ones. It's called attachment to sentient beings, right? And then attachment to external resources or material wealth. Okay, so we talked quite a bit about attachment to dear and near ones. How relationships are in flux, right? We have three kinds of relationships. We either relate to each other as friends, or as enemies, or as strangers. But all of these relationships could change, right? Strangers become friends, they become enemies, enemies become friends, they become strangers, and friends become strangers, and they become enemies, right? So there is really no certainty, nothing is permanent here. So don't get big deal about this and get too much attached to some and hate the others, because as the relationship change, these things change, and this is how we equalize everybody on the same ground, and we're able to prevent attachment and hatred from arising, or at least try to minimize them, right? So now the next one is how we are attached to external things. So this would include a lot of things. We are attached to material possessions, isn't it? Wealth and resources. We are attached to name and fame, right? So now we are going to deal with that. And so attachment to all these things is very frivolous in nature, right? As Geshe explained. Here, if somebody thinks that, I'm really rich, people like to make a lot of offerings to me. I'm really honored like anything, okay? Many people like me, And so when you think about this thing, this only kind of helps to generate the pride or the ego, arrogance, isn't it? I'm somebody, right? The importance of being an earnest here, right? I'm rich, I'm famous, I'm well liked, I'm all of that. Yeah. So that arrogance can only lead us into bad migrations, And when we really look carefully at the wealth and the name and fame, nothing is permanent again. These are very transient nature, isn't it? We ourselves have witnessed that with our naked eyes, so to speak. Rich people become homeless. Homeless could become rich people, right? So nothing is really permanently set here, isn't it? And if somebody feels that, people like to make offerings to me, and they like me very much, well, people's attitude could change. Somebody might think like, wow, you never feel like you have enough, So you are just like dodo. I don't want to give you any more, okay? So when many people think like that, the offerings stop. Okay, now you are not going to stay rich or famous anymore. Famous people become infamous, And so all these changing things, when we reflect about that, then it helps us to be able to prevent arrogance and things like that. Otherwise, if we get too much caught up into people honoring me, they like me, they make offerings to me, I'm rich. Well, what's the other side of the same coin? When people are doing the same thing or better with other people, right? Other sponsors want to support them. Now you hate them, because those sponsors are somebody supporting them, not me, right? The benefactors, they're benefiting them, not me. Now you hate them. So here comes hatred, Here comes the jealousy. So all these negativities are related to attachment to the material possessions, name and fame, and all of those things, okay? And at the end of the day, all these negativities will lead us into, right, bad migration, rebirth.
다 디콩도 디 샴바싱게 도세야지 송이세를 위시 티니 마운드 때에 야신 티 마운드 때에 바하면 좋아서 시도 때스 연대도 때스 시에서는 마운드 시도도 마운드야 디 연대들어 와디 그 비슷하다 마시나 때스 신디선 티 가지 제신 거는 단다 티 연대들 라스 비게 디바 셔버 사드 셔서 시도 비슷하다 좀 마게 돼서 디스거다 미조하다 네바도 good 책수제가 파미 책수제베스 야신 네바도 good 등 책수제베 세진남이 파미가 좋아다 어디다 네바스는 먼저 노동주 토야 되죠 good에서는 그셔셔야지 그래서 차생에 저기 배 그셔진 거 뭐 이상하데 시비에게 서서 어디 어디래지 양 나제게 지겨 되네 가자 예바도 고디서 제베 세기는 밤에 좋아 지니시 자시 쳔다스 자시스나 수 초고도 어다 가원이 뭐뭐요 무슨 뭐 대시 무슨 대시나 라이 제 초고도 대시나 예스 가와시나 베수 나나 이르게서 어디래는 야데 자시 쳔다죠 롱모데 쳔스데상 다베 롱산 저 손님들 신에 가바시나라 왜 롱스저 저 사주저 예사죠 가지다 소다베 랑도 다가 가 미가야고 키브레 샤서 나지자지로 쳔이 롱모데 쳔지 야징이세 자시 쳔다세 롱모데 쳔제 바베 파메와 조도 디시 자베 요덴다 요시 송에스 뉴에스 데미자 자베 요데사 자베 요데 중인데 와세 거지 노동시 시라 마소 시가 지어와 지는 마소 나냐 나베 다시 자베 요데 네 디에산 그런 가지시데 베도 거 됐어 장배 연대의 유진용에서는 노동주 시라 마냐되려와 어디 나베 누바체버 노서 송조르의 지금에선 어제 뒤에 잡아지거라 장배 연대다시 안배 토송 것은 저 장배 연대의 예성아 되네 그 유진용에서 유진용에서 제가 주자라페 뭐뭐 마냐시 뉴진시 와서로 다 대바시 해는 뭐시야니 밤에 히차데스 어디다 소소 드레 이사도시네 데레 히보이들 가지시다 호텔에는 밤에 와서로 예스고 무슨 히보드다네 라디쇼에서 자지 밤에 베인데 라디쇼에서 자지 밤에 왔다다는데는 심지어와 좋아해 봐 저거 쇼키 소나스 어다 드레시데 다다 거 소소고 연대를 따데 나제 자와시 가제시 되게 가가야 냐드지 주레모도 지야 타바 타비시베 남자 주마리스 세자디 냐드고요 리스고 다디고.
So in the extensive commentary, a sutta requested for by Maitre Simha, Sambasinghe was cited, and as Geshe explained, so in this, they give you, numerous examples relating to which, one might experience arrogance and sense of pride, right? The ngagel in Tibetan, which can be translated as pride or arrogance or inflated ego, And of course, the one thing we already talked about is that, one could experience pride because relating to one's wealth, right? I have a lot of stuff. I'm rich, right? That easily we can see very relatable. Or that one could say that, wow, I'm somebody. A lot of people like me. They make a lot of offerings. They really respect me. They prostrate to me, and they serve me. So based upon all those kind of thinking, so one could again experience a sense of pride, which is not a good thing, because pride can lead to rebirth in bad migrations. The others, the pride or arrogance could come out of like, I have too many friends. Wherever I go, I have friends, buddy, right? So you are so kind of how should I say, so proud that I have friends everywhere. That arrogance can again arise. Or that, somebody like a mendicant or a monk, like going on alms begging, might say, what, I have a lot of benefactors. They like to offer me alms. I'm really kind of well known, right? They have a lot of alms givers. So that could again kick up the pride, right? So it could be pride. As Gisela said, pride could arise not necessarily because you are rich and you have so much. It could also arise, right, based upon thinking that, well, I am a very contented person, right? I don't own too many things, I live a very simple life. As a matter of fact, the monastics, right, they have to live a simple, living, high-thinking kind of thing. They have, right, living contented life, very simple life, simple food, simple clothing. But again, if you're not careful, this could become a source of pride, because I live a symbol. Who lives simple like me? I'm somebody now, isn't it? So such a pride is really a cause of negativity and being reborn in bad migrations. Pride and arrogance are not a cause to bring us to the liberation or out of samsara. So we have to recognize that.
Yang taban debe long le jang, xing nian zhe da xie ge chou de lu ji xing ba yi kuai de se, lu ji de da nang ni qie sa li ga yi lu ji, qie sa kong di xi, qie sa sa song de, qie sa li jin di sui ne se, du di qie sa pong ba cha de, du ne, ngo gyo jing se, di de zang de lu xing da la, nye ba xie do, di xing de, gelong la xie, Nyeba dang, Gurde dang, Chakpa dewe se, Simbara de, Chong da chong ye da, Chong da chong ye, Chong de si du, Sunyim se la, Ti tere se, Sangma shimbo jindewa se se ni, Chi di nyimbar, Chi di nyimbar, se lakbe se, Chi di nyimbar, se lakbe se to, Cherde, Wune, Gelota de meba, Tsada debata, Ku se zangma shimbo jindewa, Su, jindewa su, de so mugo de, Lakma, Towe rik na, Che de na, Di so shik che, Di te zang di, Gelong rungwa te ba, Ta, Shenda, Nyeba shi di xie song de se, Ka nyingur da, Sadung di, To sado, Jung se, Re shung ye se, Nga je da, Jagwa shi chebe, Tien la ngung shi, Nyeba shi wa, Ta ge se, De da se, Likbar, De da semba kye shi wa, Song so se, O te mza, Da, Te, Pe zho shi te zho, Yang dan de se, Doa long yi, Yang dan de long se, Yang tawa de long se shi ro, Di ke, de long le ja, Xing zho ba, Ka nenzha da ji chong de, Luk ji che bo shi ko de, Luk ma bo yo re se, De luk di na ya, Me zao sa de ke, Luk ka ji jik chi ne, Me zao ma bo se, Ina dina di la ma me zao ma bo zin du li sha ne, Ina luk xiang da li be, Gong sa shi xe ne, Nga be di xiong sa yin do se, O dina xe go re se. O dina xe gelong ka ji de se, Song yim xe ne, Ina kora ya kwa ra za, Song yi jia zi se, Se zi lang ma zhub di ye de, Pika gelong ma bo yi za chi ne, Ina nga be, Song yi xe wa ya kwa ra song se. Ina chirang si da, Di sa kin sa shi, Nga kya sa shi, Nga ta gomen di chirang si sa di sa shi, O dina xe wa, Di chi wa re se wa ta.
Luk pe di ya wo komas ke.
La,
Sing nado de all look chu culture some look I check me some side some.
look church there is. There no that look check in the 치사사야 치레스.
Khalasal shan lo.
치네 치사 잡세세. 엔 치사카기 그런 딜 샤셰. 엔 look 치사들 배 코시베 인도서 신이 쉐레스. 어때너지 길로서 소유 챤디 길로지 소유 저기 그 잡세세. 잡세 라마 뭐먹기니. 엔 길로시다 소유시다 말아서 나처럼 저 사는데 사이크스. 나베 잡세 셰타이서. 디정하지 길로시다야 통중시 니제시브리스.
The example that is recorded in the extensive commentary and Geshe explained folks an example about how one could experience pride or arrogance and is that of actually the meaning is easier to translate than the example. The example is that of a flock of sheep. A flock of sheep under the big Natura tree, staying there, and then one sheep goes out and found a lot of food to eat and brought some here, and as if telling everybody, look at me, I already filled myself, I extra here, now I don't need to eat anymore. If you want to eat that's leftover, you can eat it, right? Have that sort of a pride. So like that, if a monk, let's say, goes for an alms begging, right, and got a lot of alms and ate too much and then brings something back and then just belittle all other monks like, what, did you get any alms today? Oh, poor you. No, I had too much. I couldn't eat everything. Here, you can eat it, right? And so, this is an example of how you're belittling the other sanghas, right? And as if, because you got some more extra alms, that makes you something extra special, right? You're not. So you become very inflated and arrogant, right?
What is it? Because Nyingurda Sadhu so Jungse Rechung Naje the Javajan here, Moving never Shiva Tag Deda Liber Deda Simba Kesha was Songsos or the Soso that actually in Shiva said Redo. Teda Nyingu so King Bad the Tela Shava. Ronyo Jibaje, you see, they do Julas, number Mumbe, ye change Dada to so Dugaji Jui Ningula, Deve, Julomne, Teda Ningula, Deve, Teda, young Kana, Shahi, Shember, Shed, Churne, Tebe Sheba so, La, Shedo Lungsha, Teda, 동시 때 대다티 누가 초직디스 돈발레 주분남이 누에 튀어서 공원에 양주 동지들 편이 동에 예저 조심 당우 대원의 대두고 주 랑돌라스 케바니 닝고소다 샤바 메샤테 대다나 샤기 셴바텔레니 디지코디 지바 메세바케와 셴마다와티 첼 셰로히 유제 샤베 예바텐도세 다그 유제 샤베 예바스다 더 차유디 차야기 그 유들 맞지 샤바 코로 예바텐고 다 같이 샤는 그 칼코로 소도 가르 연하지 도자지가 가래나 tel레이바 가보신 샤티 어 차뱅이와티 tel레데네 참 예소메다메바티 티그리스 어디데다 지도 유제 차뱅이와다 여 차유리와 차유리와스다 소소니에다 소소교베 타메와저야 니모자 히샤도 차유리라 쇼로 다다 차바코로 니와쇼다 그 나제세네 배 들로면 뭐보시다 인요 메세바 중국리스 근데 차바 코로니 바시고 있어요 다디스.
So as Geshe explained that it is important that we individually or personally look within ourselves and examine do we experience this kind of pride or arrogance, right, relating to, wealth, relating to name and fame, relating to any other things, right? And then it's important for us to recognize and deal with that. So the pride and arrogance arise because of our ignorance towards the causes of suffering, isn't it? Pride and arrogance are the causes of suffering, not causes of liberation or enlightenment. And so because of that ignorance, we let such afflicting emotions pop up within ourselves. The wise ones who know about the langdor very well, what needs to be abandoned, what needs to be cultivated, practiced, they don't let themselves being attached to wealth, name, fame, X, Y, Z, all of the above. Okay? They don't let it because they know the difference between causes of suffering and causes of happiness or liberation. And here what we have talked about is the disadvantages or the faults of the attachment or the pride and arrogance itself. Pride and arrogance are subjective experiences, Gyeltsen, right? These are not objects, isn't it? And we can talk about the disadvantages or the faults of the objects of afflicted emotions. For example, our dear near ones, they seem to easily prompt our attachment, isn't it? So, and being with ordinary childish sentient beings, we could easily be delusional and get negative influence. So those could be the faults of the objects of afflicting emotions. But here we are not focused on the objects per se. We are focused on the subjective mind, Gyeltsen, the subjective experience of attachment and pride itself, right? If for whatever reasons, if pride and arrogance, ngagel and gyakpa arise in Tibetan, then this could only lead us into rebirth in the bad migrations where we will experience, untold suffering for eons. So we have to consider that, take that into our account.
This is Teta Day never charging the Dombali, Jibu Nami, Tuso, Kone, Ganjur Donjur de Penny, Duene the Jewish heroes, Joycing Dangos, who did that was a Jibu the Pesha, Le Pesha as your was the Dicasita, Kaje. That Judah Jewish ever did that, don't do Davina. Don't do Yawas, I should do Jewish Jewel, I should do I should don't as young, what the young or what the pegota. Pa, chick down, see, don't as young or what is a later, Peter Jewish, or the Pedro said they were did that. That going to get that leg, Naming was a Hagumara. But the I should get if that was a chingata there. So that don't do Yana, don't do I should don't rush over it.
On page 104, stanza 18 reads, so your thoroughly confused mind, by the piling up of whatever objects you are attached to, misery a thousandfold will ensure. That is the stanza Geshe is commenting on, and I think that stanza translation anyway, it's a little bit problematic. As you will see, because they mention about the piling up of whatever objects. That's not what it is. As Geshe explained, here we are talking about the increasing nature of karmic action. Remember that if we create a karma, with the passage of time, right, its effect increases manifold, right? That's what called piling up of, like not objects, piling up of the karmic, what you call the energies there. And of course, as ordinary people, right, we find it difficult to understand the increasing nature of good and bad karma, how a small karma with the passage of time can become a huge karma because of the increasing nature of karma. But if we look at the examples outside, then it's easy, we can easily understand that. Of course, Geshe-la's example comes from farming in South India, where we cultivate maize. In America, you call corns. all right? So you put one seed of a corn or a maize in the field, when the harvest comes out, that one seed can produce 1,000 seeds, isn't it? So that's like increasing nature of external thing. One seed can produce 1,000 seeds, right? So that we can easily understand, isn't it? But internal karma mechanism works in the same way. One small karma, with the passage of time, can, right, it can bloom like that. So that's called piling up, okay? So we have to think about that and then prevent, afflictive emotions such as arrogance from arising.
Driven number maybe two sources, don't use the pay, don't need the Joshing. Don't need the door, little generally, long bottom. Niwacheva, Pulodi, Joro. She certain number of times, two solar, Mizoshin, Lava Yoshung, Taga Dene, Lava Comedy, Domini Bay, Little Jenny, long bottom, Jeva. Pulonji to the Jungshin, Jorhin. Joachim Jadon Joachim Janju don't you do Jinda and Jagoba, Sombata Yinas. Or did Casa the cousin Cicero Casa. Joachim Peli Pedon, the key was illogicated. Certain there sooner, no matter the year and the best, sure, but Divine Lea, who Mashi says, go dear Shavina, and pronounce the juries. That pronounce the you don't use chagris, what is it? What you don't use whatever is it. This Laurana, Jimmy, that you are young. Gelon, Jina Jalia, this yours. Omat lingo, Lomaton words. Jina Jig Shati words. Jisa the Gelon the Tron, today seems in digit jet is poor. No, sir. Digit jet, and the Omalazati Mizatina called Dijalandis. No, sir. Dijaland, and the cottage in the concern is the. And the court did really young son, Shin. She doesn't rod the sooner, she was called shutting his United Kadute, rod shutting. I said, that's what the Omatu, the Comatezarva. That shut the horror. What is a lot of that you there?
단단히 가르쳐서 슈딩 카시송 냠래 맞아버네. 가르 불륜식을 좀 하고.
분노지. 자, 지금 소나라 냠래 마시는 시고다. 그 예바시라 먹으시. 네. 대셔는 시고라. 네. 불륜 가르쳐줘. 라 분노는 다 뜻이고지. 그래서 조르지야.
알레 냠래 맞아버네. 알레 알레 어디 보내자로 알레 로스 알레 나는 냠래 맞는 불륜 가르쳐줘. 알레 로스 알레 로스 어디
그 쓰름 된 거.
알레 로스 so that's interesting example. The first case I explained, let's say a practitioner observes, certain ethics or vows, but really does not really engage in practice. And if, let's say, a lot of people are honoring and kind of offering to you, it's like you owe a karmic debt to them. Are you with me? Right? Does that make sense? Right? It is as if you don't deserve those offerings. You are not practicing. Yeah, so you do observe certain vows. So then you owe a karmic debt to those benefactors. Okay. So the example Geshe told is a very interesting one. I think he takes it out of the Lamrim discourse, Stages of Path Enlightenment. The story is that of of an individual, right, a monk, right, during his lifetime, he had two benefactors. One benefactor provided him a lot of milk, right, and other benefactor provided him a lot of meat. Okay, now he owed a lot of karmic debt to them, right? The milk debt and the meat debt. Okay? And then it is said that somehow his next life he was reborn as, for lack of a better word in English, a she-yak. We call it the D. Okay, and somehow he happened to become how should I say, a domestic animal of the benefactor who provided a lot of milk. So he was able to give that family a lot of milk. So he paid off his milk debt. Are you with me? But then one day he went to eat grass and he fell off the cliff and he died. Okay. Somehow that she-yak, the meat, rolled to the house of the benefactor who provided him a lot of meat before. So the benefactor could eat his meat. Somehow, as they took out the meat and everything on his bone, right? As the letter appeared, it says, "I paid off your debt." Okay, are you with me? So that means, unless we pay our karmic debts, we owe debts to others, isn't it? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Sharipu, Tsurushebe, Gelon, Gewajadon, Chimbuji Padrangi, Shartse, Tubdi, Jindal Jelo, Shoes Jenny, Young Court Gewatan, Chiwatan, Chiwa Yungo, Tanya Bomdu, Guebe, Satam Young, Shominina, Kurda Seda, Meshada. Mensomotajim Yesongs Lama Jesum Sunjuleni Dendru Yodes Timmy this order Sedum Yonala Yamlema Trevita, that's Sedum Shah, that Tele Jadon Dura this way. Or did Sedum Shah, the Sedum then Yamlea was this or. Sonje the Sharibu this one, Children she be yellow, give a jado chimbum about the wrong shot checking. Dub this, Jindal and Jello. Shows again a young, court jawad, Jindalia, and to let the jolly Shartse, young Doju the courtier, there is simply king of going dress. Young Tanya Mum, you go a chat on young, sure me. Kuda Seda Mesa so Tamas of Yugovi Chatoyan, sure when you Kuda Seda Meseda Menasoba Tajim Shesons or that and the certain young dana in this bay. Go Chunjuja Jumaris. Go Chunjuja Majas Dabe said Name Gagabe Melon the side. In Tibetan, now you have the Tajaris, or this or that. Karza Chagoma Majamba, Sajal, Choing. Suja Yanda made the Yugoslavian Sames, Lara. I said that the Dolly or so Chagoma Bevachado, the Meta, Sanako, said you Kokaza, she would make you. Joshima couldn't make a lie. So Tiram Yam said this Sunyum Satiz said, and it jaw the Bumda to my young said that is a Chagoma about Suada, Tiram Chevy, calling the Tido or Dolly or
So I think here we are talking about the seriousness of karmic debts, right? That we owe to each others. Earlier, the story we talked about is about paying off karmic debt, right? But that example was related to a practitioner or a monk who keeps certain vows but really doesn't do practice much, right? So you still, because others still make offerings, you have karmic debt. But somehow that debt seems to have been paid off quite easily, isn't it, relatively? You were reborn as a she-yak, and you gave back the milk debt, and then you died, and then you paid off the meat debt, right? That seems to be not too bad, easily paid off. But now the next one that Geshe explains is, you know, if you don't keep even your vows, you're being, right, you don't practice at all, you don't keep your vows intact, but still a lot of faithful ones, they make offerings to you, then that kind of debt can be very serious debt, karmic. Are you with me? Because if someone, a monk or whatever, is not keeping the vows at all, even a small gift offered to you is a tremendous, tremendous karmic debt. And that cannot be easily paid off, right? We might have to, you know, it might take eons and eons, right, to be able to pay off that debt. We may be reborn in difficult situations. We might have to cut off flesh from our own bodies, like, you know, 100,000 times for eons, even until the debt is paid off. It's a very serious matter, right? When someone doesn't deserve offering, doesn't keep the vows intact, but yet, you know, enjoying that, the karmic debt is just tremendous. Yeah? So that's the point we are just driving home here. And as Geshe said, in a sutra, it is said that relatively saying it's easier to sort of bite on a flaming iron ball. I mean, that can burn your mouth and that might kill you at the most, right? That's all it is. But, you know, you don't deserve the offerings, you don't keep your vows intact, but you still enjoy the offerings or the things made by others. That kind of a karmic debt is very, very difficult to be paid off. It's a very serious matter, right? And that can impact many lifetimes. So we would like to stop there today, and we would like to answer some of your questions. Then I have a lot of prayer requests too. Yeah. Okay. Anybody here?
Well, this verse 18 that Geshe just talked about, obviously that it's only addresses monastics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, both the examples are about monastics.
The increasing nature of karma, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, not the increasing nature of karma. That's the increasing nature of karma with regard to the monastics, not in general increasing nature,
yeah.
right?
Di tagiken di le pe chava suna chubagen.
La.
Le pe chava suna
Oh, yeah,
chubagen.
yeah.
Di tagi suna di karso gore da sangmala mado di kinjuba chugo jilge jugo yamar was gore waki le pe chava se ni judi.
La.
Le pe chava se di sermo wada kyaw sangmala mado inje mi kinjuba chugo jilge wage. Jo di le ke chamar was gore. Right. Yes, you're right. In general, the nature of karma is increasing for anybody, right? Yeah, not just the monasteries.
Question is it just for monastics? Okay, well,
Is
I'm
it just
saying,
for
no,
monastics?
no. Well, the verse is the way it was explained was as though it's only for monastics. This particular example, karmic debt, not just the increasing. Of course, the increasing nature of karma is about everybody, but I'm talking about the verse 18.
Yeah.
Both examples are about monastics who have the vows.
Oh, they don't have the vows.
No. To the contrary, they do have the vows. They have the vows, but they don't practice, right? So both examples were like that.
Are the examples about monastic only? That's what it's
yes,
okay.
they're not about. So the whole verse, actually, the interpretation of the whole verse is not addressed to lay people.
Al Quran condition din sarawagin that the le page have this new pesha di karso gore ke the contact sermo barawage kinibal pesha rawage sudim test nagasum yamne majage yamane ro madaji chita di le pesha se the samal juk de was the Quran di session is come pedi taki kinibal sharwe
La.
taki pedi kinibal share madoji ki chita le pesha se the samal ya jugur was pedi kinibal share taki pedi kinibal shamare sudim ge suma je yamne majage rawage jena taki zola chen ge chiksuna je wage ta sudim gyona masong je sadana dene gasa kewa mangpoli ya di
아,
so
저 더더 처좀 쉬어야지. 년에 마시는 거 애니 심한 윤송 양거라와.
어디 빼지
다다 예소다 내 지우서 찍지고 말래 펴야지. 장주 동주 양거라와.
reine pedi ke kindi ba shar wala orge
빼데 야다.
diwan shamar ke pe kindi ba shar wa dagi
라
pedi ke kindi ba shar wa kelong thaba shar wa pedi
빼데 말에 다다데 제가서
chidane nyamlen chegen chudim she wa ge
진짜도 되셔다. 그 처좀 맞는 거에 대 남이 누자용거레스. 누자용거 대남이 대 패치하셔야 돼. 장주 동주 용거레 뭐 제 내가 충충 말이스.
ene di tenjen di kelong re agu minare ge di
알레 다다데 리에데 게노레 게노.
other yeah that's right examples are the monks but it relates to us right that's true right, yeah.
Relate to us.
How does
does it
it
relate to us?
Ale,
No,
what
okay. It says here in my translation that basically the whole verse has to do with not enjoying sensory pleasures, not enjoy. So in that case, it does this refer to us as well. But the examples given are only about monastics. Is that right?
Right. Yeah, examples are given are only about monastic. But are you asking how this relate to us lay people? Okay, yeah. Ala wada again. That pede dagi kindi ba sha rawa ge. Ta ma agu mina so ya di java ina rawa ge. Ta le phe sha ba di kande se. Ngando la kande jugo res so ge.
지지바 내 패시아서 어우나 지와다 차와다 어우나 지바
ge da ben call la cha rawa ge. Call de dagi thawal machine ge agu mina call de ta ja she yo ge.
알레 코스네 다데 차와가로다 다 니가 사상식 말에 주실 어우나 다 코스 믹세 요마르마
Madam agu mina mission ba ge ya go shibuche de ge pa le malone di call cha ru ma to call so ro ma ge.
데데 코스 페이 샤고죠 코스야디 대베페 샤고르 제우 간가 샤마리요
Ine da danda ge le ge kanso khar so da di phulwe sa di agu mina la pesha ba na kan ja ro ge.
어우나 다고 베나 bunjo 직세베나 그 남이들 호텔 부직세베 장유도 페 남이 용거를 맞아 부직세다 부직세 내가 가면서 되게 말아 되게
En le ge phulwe di agu mina la. Le ge phulwe di kan sa ge.
아래 다 레사자 그 리뷰 용거지 리뷰대 에네 레 슝슈사 디 리뷰 슝슈 용거를 제 체험 말이 장유 페이스 하지 말이야
Oh, did it ske? Ta ine le na phulwe che ro ge na. Na kinde ba ina core di manju be che yagu ma jen de ro agu mina la ya le ge phulwe din de pesha yo ro ge.
어 문화는 다고 대꼴 예바스 가요 말이
Ine le phulwe din de yo mar ge.
다그 프로스
So le yagu che pa di le malon di phulwe chak mar ge agu mina.
콜라 페나데 지말 가서 콜 지마 땅에나 그 세는데 그 프로스 창말이 그 대콜 대배표 말아 그 닝제 바테셔 저와
Ban ge mi shamba je ngale ai mi se de yagu shibu che nge pa le di len de malon nge khol le ge phulwe su to go mar ge.
프로다
Por ta mar ge le ge phulwe su to go mar ge.
프로스 다파 린데드 땅에나 다 디제신의 비티메 좀 저게 수요 버스 파리 버치어세 맞으죠
Pa le lo go mar
그
ge.
레모나 저 디월 가요 말이
Ale dine gen ro je ngara yagu shibu che wen nge gen ya di yagu le bo malon na ngara khepsan cha ro de pa phulwe ro ge
디월 가요 말다
I'm just trying to make
그
sure
그래서
Geshe
대배표 먼저 시계 로그름도 뭐래 로그름 내야 될거 대배표 말아 지도 야랍 주선 로그름 때서 진짜 콜리 배다 콜 세베 디바레 때에 유시가 뭐지 다들 자배 코스야 나시 디바 요 말아
did ro ge. In leg phulwe se de agu mina she yo mar ge.
표시 다 대표시 이지 말이
In the leg phulwe so the course or the kindi bol she yo. Okay, just we are trying to make sure Geshe understand what we're talking about, right? That's the issue, right? Sometimes he didn't hear or somehow. Yes, the examples given there, of course, the monastic. There is a Tibetan particular word, very hard to translate into English, which is called kor. I translate it as karmic debt. Okay, looks like I thought this could apply to any of us, but the way Geshe said the Tibetan word kor, it only applies to the monastics, right? People out of faith make offerings to you, and if you don't deserve it, then you owe them the debt, right? But people don't offer out of faith to the lay people. That he said it doesn't apply to them. But as far as increasing nature of karma is concerned, that applies to all. Even a lay person does one little negative thing, you think it's little, with the passage of time, it can increase many-fold. That's what he wants to say. Yeah. After all that talk, we came to that.
디 빼빼 샤 그만 건서 원하는 대로 원하는 대로 만자신 그 고마 소네 애는 그 만자 가라 대상으로
나래.
어디 가라면서 그 고배 뉴키디 간거 못 저기
아니,
당연히 뇌사야 뇌관 야시 남지 도상 갈았던 걸 자가식으로 시다게 어디 산티 도지 가라 도지 대한 그저 뇌사 키도 샤고디 키도 뭐 저거 뇌사 여기 키도 뭐 저거 말이
아니.
그 고배는 사이인데 뭐 저기
때디 가르쳐. 때디
자가식이 되고 제배 표현 좀 말아 봐
아니.
조른다해서 다 먼저다 미게 고바 표현이 제배 표현이로
나래.
어디 샤죠
아니 치티게 되다 뭐네 전에 게 쳐답스게 고 칼라하마서 콜렉 대버전데 피요 말인 긴디발 대버전 하마데 버선 키모 잡서
대배 표현들이야 거쳐 예바샤 이 째서 다 가지
I see, yeah, Geshe is just talking about the seriousness.
제대해서 죽하요 지금 어디
No. Geshe says that, when people, like say, usually for the monks or the monastics, I should say, nuns too included, offer out of faith, right? That kind of offering, if you don't really handle or deserve it, it can be very serious nature, right? It has very serious karmic consequences. Just to illustrate that, I guess, Geshe explains about his own witness, right, when he was studying at the Tibetan University in Saranath, right? And so nearby that university, there's a small Tibetan monastery. So sometimes you go there for the puja. So people there, they make offerings to the monks out of faith, right? So they treat you or they offer you whatever. But when the leftover food, right, that's eaten by the dogs there, somehow all of those dogs get that's a good one. Skin abscess, isn't it? Abis, right? Cabis, yeah, maybe, right? All the dogs get, right? Cabis. And Geshe, that's because of, right, offering the nature. Whereas the dogs, like they ate the leftover at the university food leftover, none of them got that issue, right? So he thinks this illustrates the serious nature of the, things offered out of faith.
어제다 디 대배 표시하다 제가 스테이션이 개발을 어디서 열시다
So he thinks that's a big difference there because the university is supported by the government of India. The government of India did not give out of faith; they just support you. And so the leftover food eaten by the dogs, they're fine. But the monastery where things offered out of the faith, the dogs eat the leftover; they get the ibis, keep all of that. That's the difference.
내가 정말 그 로름선에 그게 제가 야라고 신제거리 근데 고말 먼저다 카라데게 야라긴 제거 대야 비고로
네.
어디다 거기서 무슨 우리 쳐봐주시래요.
So Geshe thinks that is really the example easy to relate to. He himself witnessed it, right? The government of India did not support the university out of faith and devotion, right? I mean, for whatever their reason. Whereas in the monastery, when the offerings are made, the treat is given, is out of faith, right? Not of any other reasons. And so because of that difference, so he saw the effect on the dogs. Eating the leftover food is different. Yes.
So there are lay practitioners that actually are in retreat, who for many years,
Yes.
And so they're almost monastic-like.
Right.
So that wouldn't even apply
To them.
to them.
Sure.
Quran
this is good. That agu mina so la kande chugula. The Quran sena tiksanda wa agu mina ke samla dating in the yorwa. Ne konda ti samla dating kala ta mi de ko chinda chen te ko ma ko che yo marwa ge. Se chiti kala konzo le ya tanda ko ro de je yo marwa sa ge. Agu mina samla dating de da ningur shu ji khudi ko ro ge. Jabjo chi ko ro di ane course wa yo marwa sa ko ge.
다코 제가 지도자 권도 자세 연도 다코 대화신 표현으로 고 참저 야고신 고 시들에 된 제여이나 여지상 부에 그럼 세워다 참저 된 그럼 세워대 가야로 대체와 되면 괜찮다.
Geshe says, in that case, maybe there is some resemblance there, isn't it? If lay practitioners in retreat, right, now they need to be supported, and those who support, they do it out of faith, right? Something, then that might be something resemblance to that. But usually, right, the lay people don't get offerings out of faith, Okay, with that, one more question. And
Sorry,
then
sorry
I have
about
a lot
that.
of prayers requests, yeah.
I just had a quick question. So did you say then that the piling up of whatever objects, is that like, I guess, a mistranslation then? Is it actually, are
Well,
you
I
saying
think
that?
that's the difficult, even I had, as we read, the explains that piling up is not piling up of objects, but is the increasing nature of karma. That's how it should be understood. The piling has to be understood in terms of increasing nature of karma, not the objects piled up, and then you get attached to it, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was thinking, I mean, if you got attached to objects too, you're
Right.
kind of also
Oh, yeah,
accumulating
we do,
karma, so
right,
it's like
right.
both, I
But in
guess.
that context, it's more the increasing nature of karma.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So thank you for understanding, and first we'll inform Geshe-la and the monks, and then you. Okay, I'm getting old, so I need 4 glasses. Time to retire, I remind you all. Can send it, Deb McCauley, send it Chung Thi Huin Tang, send it Hazel, Digator send it Jamjunaronas, then Nenarwa Rwa Tit Nga Huin, but that's Kituri, Nalagan Chivan Bugi. Dice, and then Yan Chigli, Chawa Lamdo Yombagi, the Generaronas, and Win T Big Champs again. Okay, so we have a prayer request for 3 deceased individuals, Dave McCauley, Trung Thi Huin Tang, and Hazel. We have a prayer request for healing, Tit Nga Huin. We have prayer request for success, Nguyen Thi Big Tam. Okay, so let's do the Avalokiteshvara for the deceased, Medicine Buddha for the healing, and then that combines the success too. Chadong Golo Jove, Gabo Don, Jendong Gawa Sambu, Sangye Don, Gala Hangu, Dela Dedumba, Jumba, Jere Silla, Chanze, the Home Money, Beme, Home Money, Beme, Home. Omane Beme Hori, Gawadi, Nudo, da Jeres, one, Ruju, Rowa Chijam, the Sala, Guba Show, Tuji, Kunla, Yombe, Jomden, the Senzan Tebe, Nidu, Dozon is a Sanye, Mengela, Bindu, Yaye, Vela, Chaze, to the town. The because the some of the so Gawadi, Nodo, the Membe Gavu, Dowaji Jamaluva, the Sala, Gurba Show, Lord Jazu, Virtun, Begarden, Kasan Pove, Chido, Mimbachin, Temba Zinla, Wando, Tanya Chogun Chola, so. The Mawandame, Gwenyan Dongwa, the Gandhi Johnson, Nida, Seza, Jamgun Jawa, Niwa, Yapse, Transon Tenzin. Tenzin Jeve, Jingon Zebe, Shije, Nigun Changjo, Tendu, Longdo, Tamje, Bebe, Duja Yadu, Gundo, Shabden Sho, Tesan, Gonda, Cheze, Zombe, Yongzo, Yure, Tobe, Nyage, Longri, Deje, Nibu, Bed. Tubden Kangri, Dabo, Shabden Sho, Lona Gongmen, Zeba,
Tendang Dove Pende Jombe She, Lundo Jumi Chebe, Tendeji, Gesan Duje, Dundo, Chije Lame, Tuje, Melanda, Gesan Duje, Tendam Samendo, Shojong Dodo Chido. Chida Memben Dungun Lundo Sho, Ramjan Shinge, Gombo Tseba Me, Zodo Namje, Yeyun Drama, Jojo Zeye, Hazo, Tamzeji, Daden Mishi Chok. Tubden Jeda, Losan Yawayi, Shido, Tenban Zimbe, Peyun, Tade Duja, Yonge, Xinyan Cho, Yangde Ninje, Hongbo, Jiden Sumgen, Chana, Pemen, Denbe Zawa, Soso Tawa, Namda, Chudin, Yangda, Langba, Losan, Yanden, Bedo, Shabden, Tujon, Yajen, Nunzin, Yangbe, Samjo, Namje, Sangzin, Junbe, Gomjon, Shila, Songjo, Drebe, Denbe, Ngada, Chenbo, Chebe Dongan Gowan Bogjo de, Zhenbe Rilan Siyu Bongzhaji, Zhenbe Dunden Leshe, Kido Xinyin Jimbo Xiaodin Shu, Kebe Langdu Guxie Zedaji, Zhenbe Chara Niezo Rangsa Xi, Sangbu Lije Rigong Yixi, Sumden Xinyin Jimbo Xia, Tesan Rola Jawe Tendeji, Menjung Tajue Zangmen Xijinbo, Labjin Jidin Tendu Bei, 现在新年全部小点说，说声叫我世界勤劳，昨天他们见送面听来节，大家老生。接到面边两个人着说，常着心着人不节，马节不能。接把娘把没把养，过年工作陪我来说，东西大我人不节，马节不能。 接我娘把没把养，过年工作陪我来说，啥些北京就是没到账，为了领些人的烟巴，上街行动没得为我。如果能到行了，就把说看着绕外过来新港的平常在我忙里，接来是往定金要作业，下边谁的忙？ 天主节一当古如热那满天，你养大呀面叫我更多养大拉满等人们世界不老龙节节杀到南界云的，多节长给过把牛多肉。